Hören Sie mir? Guten Morgen noch. Ich möchte mich gerne Gast bedanken bei Herrn Weißflug und DEKOM für die sehr schöne Umgebung, das wir präsentieren möchten. Ich bin kein Deutscher, Sie haben das schon gehört. Also ich werde weitermachen aufs Englisch, bitte. Heute Morgen bekomme ich ein E-Mail von unserem Marketing-Team und es steht, wieso Prysm in Europa jetzt richtig durchstarten. Sie sehen es jetzt noch nicht. Aber ich nehme ein Foto davon, das wird einfacher. Und Sie sehen, wieso Prysm in Europa jetzt durchstartet. Und dann sagt man herunter, Prysm, das sind doch die verrückten Kalifornier mit den Laserdings. Also das bin ich. Das haben Sie schon gesehen, den ersten Mal ein verrückter Kalifornier, oder jemand, der für einen verrückten Kalifornier arbeitet. Die zweite Überraschung ist, dass ich nichts verkaufen wird heute auf die Bühne. I'm going to switch to English, I'm sorry. Ich fahre aufs Deutsch. I'm not going to sell anything today. I'm going to share information. I'm going to teach a little bit about how we see people thinking and working about the new way of doing business. Before I start, I would like to introduce you to my colleague, Roel Peters. He is responsible for the German-speaking countries and Eastern Europe. He speaks much better German than me, and so he will be at the stand later on. Anyway, just information, no sales. Before lunch, that should be comfortable. We all know there's a big world out there. You have a lot of companies, international companies. I've heard people already talking about New York and Boston and Moscow and Hamburg and people all over the world. In many cases, what we see in traditional environments, it's either about, I'm going to take a bigger pen, it's about operational excellence, it's about value or innovation, or it's about the customer. The problem is, in big organizations where we are working with, more and more of the experts that we need to reach our strategy are spread all over the world. It's very difficult. In the old days, everybody was sitting in the same room, but now all the experts that we want to talk to are spread. Now, wouldn't it be easy if somehow we could bring those people together? If we could bring the people anywhere in the world with video conferencing, but also the content, whether it's web, whether it's your BI intelligence, whether it's a PowerPoint, whether it's a video, whether it's any content from any place in one table, as if you were sitting at the same table at your office. Because that's where we really have the best collaboration, right? If you're sitting next to somebody and you can touch him, you can feel him, you can write on the same piece of paper, but it's very difficult to do that today with the digital content. Now, just as an example, where this leads to, if you can do this right, and this is an example of a large pharmaceutical company, what happens if you bring that together? For instance, on the operational efficiency, Eli Lilly has a physician advisory board. They bring doctors from anywhere in the world to give them advice about how they want to market their product, what features the product needs to have. In the old days, they invited all the doctors to have a golf tournament, and they paid for it, which was very expensive. And the best doctors cost a lot of money. And that was about 500,000 euro every event. But they could also only do it every 6 months. Today, they bring the people together in a video conference, but they also have all the statistics to show to those people. They have the data from the lab. They have the PowerPoints from marketing. They have the customer input, the videos of how the customer responds and work with their tools. Today, they say, not me, they say, they've been able to do this every 2 weeks, and over 8,000 hours have been able to save 6.9 million. That's when operational efficiency, doing it smarter, also creates value. It's up to you to think, what does this mean for your organization? Another example with them is the FDA. Every drug needs to go to an approval process. After years of development, the government needs to say, yes, I agree, you can sell. In the old days, that took about 120 days. People needed to sell Excel, sell documents, people answered, emails, paper, prints, etc. Today, they put 5 statisticians in a room from anywhere in the world, the experts about this product, and they do the same process in 3 days. Now think about any process in your company that takes 3 months, which is a lot of time. And think about it, if you could take those 3 months and squeeze them into 3 days, how much value would you have created? How much time and resources and money would you have saved? And that's where virtual collaboration with any solution is all about, right? Maybe one more thing before I leave this page, and that is this very surprising sheet, because you all, and I'm pretty sure the first thing you all think about when I talk about efficiency, it's about we are going to travel less. We're going to save money. And that's true. If you have a lot of travel, that's the number one priority, the number one cost that is visible to the organization because it's in your P&L. The CFO is talking about the cost of travel. So that's really visible. That's above the iceberg tip that you see. But according to Eli Lilly, the main points of return is time to decision making. If I can make my decision faster because I have the right information at my fingertips, that generates more value. If I can speed up my rate of innovation, imagine you're a car manufacturer and you need 36 months to develop a car. And I can do this 3 months faster. That's not a lot over the total. How much money can I save? How much faster can I get a car to market to beat my competition? And of course, risk reduction. I just had a discussion earlier at the booth about risk reduction. That's not important. But yet, the IT department doesn't want to go to the cloud because it's risky. People make investments. People invest in the stock exchange where there's a lot of risk. If you have the latest and the greatest information, and you have the experts from New York and the experts from Hong Kong together with you here in Hamburg or in Frankfurt or in anywhere in the world at an exchange, and you can make a joint decision, the brightest people with the best content, that's when you reduce your risk of making the right decision. That's where the value is. Sorry. Just a few other use cases that we've seen. Everybody recognizes this, I guess. You probably have one of those in your office or in your meeting room, right? You have a projector with a screen. You have either a whiteboard or a board to put Post-its. You have a Crestron or an AMX. You have a link or you have a system for your computers, whether it's ClickShare or whatever, and then you have a piece of paper. Now, think about the last meeting you had, and how long did it take from the moment you entered the room till the first minute you were working? Somebody had to give the PowerPoint slides to somebody. Somebody had to quickly send an email. Somebody didn't have the pen. Somebody tried to set up the video conferencing, and it didn't work. On average, we lose 10% of our meeting time in the beginning of the meeting. 10%. Think about 3,000 meetings. We calculated that to be 3 million euros a year. Just wasted in connecting cables and setting it up, right? Now imagine that we could say, okay, you guys, you want a video? Okay, we'll show you a video. We'll put the video on the screen. You want to have a few Post-its? Okay, we'll put Post-its on the screen. You guys want to have a whiteboard? Okay, we'll put a digital whiteboard on the screen. You guys want to have a web portal or a website showing off to discuss some of it? Well, there's already no place on this system. I need an extra laptop with an extra projector, right? So now, I'm bringing my content to the next level. I'm using one system to do all of that, but I don't have to set it up. I don't have to share cables. I don't have to go to the internet. It's all already available on the system. The nice thing is, and that's the second part of the benefit of the operational efficiency. Now, what happens at the end of the meeting? You all know, you've all done it. You take your phone and you go to the Post-its and you take a picture. And then you send the picture to your assistant. And then she sees the picture and she tries to read what you wrote. And then she sends an email to everybody. This is, I think, are the points of the meeting. And then you have to email back, no, that's not what I said. This is what I meant. So it goes back a couple of times. By the time you get to the summary notes, you lost 3 days, right? From this part, I can take any piece of this. I can take a snapshot. I can take a picture. I save it. And I email it straight from the wall. I can We discussed this together. We were all here. You saw me writing it. And you're getting that piece sent to your mailbox, linked to your Active Directory. So it's all easier in the beginning, but there's a lot of saving to go from the meeting to actually understanding where it goes. And this is where it becomes a single solution where everything is integrated. The big benefit is that you're not losing time in the beginning, you're much more efficient during, and you're certainly not losing time at the end, right? And that's where the big money is. And this is especially important for companies that do a lot of meetings. For instance, consulting firms, finance firms, legal firms, because their business is doing meetings, right? And if you're traveling a lot for international customers and you have to invoice your travel to your customer, if you can be a little bit more strategic about what you invoice because you're more available, that could be a strategic advantage in your market. Another one use case that we often see is collaboration. And training, because that's what we use training for today, right? You have a WebEx or you have a session. There's a trainer in a central location who has all the knowledge, and he has 10 or 50 or 100 people he wants to train. Now, in the old days, you would have a slide that went from 1 to 10 to 20 to 100, and then you ask the people to understand what's being said and what the link is between slide 5 and slide 10. That's not easy, because people don't think sequentially, they think in pictures. So being able to do just that, being able to show different pictures, to bring together video and sound and web browsers is important. Now, one extra thing about that. Most of you are here because you're interested in collaboration, and I guess many of you already have invested in video conferencing. Now, the last thing you want to do as an IT manager is throw that all away. You don't want to do that because you spent money and you told the CEO, we need to do this. And you cannot go back and say, sorry, I made a mistake. You want to find a solution that says, we can take what you have and we will give you the same, but more. So what we've done, or what you can do, is say, okay, we're going to take a part of the new functionality of collaboration. And that's a challenge for many, many companies. And we're going to, whatever we do on this screen, we are going to push that through the data channel for any codec, whether it's Cisco or Polycom or Arcano or Lifesize or video. And now, on your codec, you get the full experience. You get the web, you get the video, you get the Excel. You get all of that new way of working in the traditional legacy systems. And you can upgrade the system and then move on beyond that. As your older equipment depreciates, you can move to the new one. And that's a really big business case, because what we see, and this is real information, if you look at how people learn, 65% of the people learn better when they see it, when they hear it, and when they can touch it or see it move. Imagine how many people you have, and 65% of those, make that calculation, will have a better experience in their training. The second element, which is even more important, I think, is as they get the training, people will remember longer what you've told them. So your training becomes more effective. Now, this is for training, but think about you're in a meeting. How many times do you get into a meeting where you're sitting at a video conferencing session or even in the same room, and you have a discussion, and after a week, people don't know anymore what's been said. Or you have a different idea about what's been said. Now, if you could reduce that risk, if you could make it more effective, your meetings, and international companies can leverage that, you will get a better meeting productivity. And that's in many companies on the high of their agenda, because you are spending millions of wages for people sitting in the same room or virtual room. So that better make it count. I can talk about this for hours, so you will have to help me about the time, okay? And I can talk about that later at the stand as well. Another example, again, just examples on to create this open mind about what other people are doing, just to trigger enough. The question is, what does it mean for me? How can I change my business to make it a little bit more efficient, to create a little bit more value, to work a little bit better together internationally? This is an example of, I use the example of a car manufacturer. It could be any manufacturer, for the record. Where I'm using a video, I'm going to put the sound off, I'm using a website where I can actually configure my car on the spot if it's working exactly. I have a couple of design issues, a couple of designs. I have a design where I want to discuss the contents of my CAD file over my drawing. If the CFO is in the room, if it's a bad number, that's my slide. But if it's a really good number, I want to show him how good it is, right? And I can do this virtually. So now think about the following idea. Think about the following, and this is a real case. And it's not about a car manufacturer, it's a shipping company. There's a designer in Rome. They are building, or they are ordering ships in Norway, where they make most of the ships. And the designer needs to fly to Norway to talk to the builders, to say, okay, show me the plans, and this is what I want to do. Every 2 weeks, he flies to Norway for 3 days. But until there, no problem. The designers go to work in their CAD files. Then, they print out, they take the CAD files, they convert it to a file that they can email back to Rome. That person prints it out on a big piece of paper. He makes notes on the piece of paper. He scans it in. He emails it back to Norway. They print it out again, and they put it back in the CAD file. Now imagine we could have the same discussion and say, you know what? I think it needs to be squared instead. That's the efficiency of the process. Because I do get that result. And even better, the next question is, okay, if I want to have this squared, which is a discussion that the project manager and designers have in the room, and they might be in Norway, but the CFO is in Geneva. And the CFO says, well, wait a minute, if you're going to change this, then I think that number will go up. Okay, that's possible, but then the next question is, well, if I change this in the spec, then my machine, my rendering is going to change. Imagine the discussion that you're going to have instead of having to do that step by step by step by step. By the time somebody sees a mistake, you have to start all the way from the front again. Operational efficiency, value creation. Another example, and again, just examples. Example of live data. Imagine you have your CFO comes into the room, and often he gets an Excel or he gets a PowerPoint of numbers that were created maybe 3-4 days ago. It's not the latest and the greatest because it's been printed out and the secretary had prepared for the board, etc. What if you could have this live from Salesforce, where you can come into a room, tap the dashboard, see what's behind it, open up a video conference on the same board, ask the sales manager, why is this number down? What is your region doing? What if I can say, okay, I'm going to see and look at the impact of what I'm doing in the stock exchange. I'm going to get the latest information. So think about all the information anywhere in the world on this screen, and what's even better, I can mirror this screen to any other screen. So if I have this, what I'm doing here, somebody's working with me in New York and in Moscow, whatever I'm doing, they will be seeing, but that's a lot of things, a lot of companies can do that. But even better, he can now, at the same time, we can at the same time move stuff around, make annotations, we can write together and move stuff around, we can collaborate as if we are sitting in the same room. Space and time, Einstein, does not exist anymore. Let's go. There's a new theory. Interesting part for football, soccer players. What often happens if you get a preparation on paper, imagine you could have the statistics of the field. You could have the last week's summary. The trainer could say, wait a minute, I want to pause that. Well, let's pause it a bit further. Make it a bit bigger, that everybody, the people in the room, the football players can see this before. I want to pause it. I'm saying, wait guys, see this defense here? That's not good. There's only 2 against 3. You would need to go up. And then I'm going to do an exercise. I can have the radiology pictures of my players per player ready. All of that before the match. If I can win 1 point more per year, 1 point, it's not a lot. How much is that worth? Because I get the right information, video, drawings, statistics from the players. This is a live, this is not live. Oh, there it is, yeah. It is a live feedback of all the players, all the top scorers. So I have all the information in my hands, and it's now. It's the latest and the greatest. 3 more minutes, okay. Then I need 1 more minute for a video. How does it all work together? It's cloud-based. Every system has a link to the cloud. When I load a piece of content, either from my laptop or from any wall, it will copy itself to every location. So if I'm going to New York and I'm plugging my USB in, or I'm preparing this presentation at home, and I come to Hamburg and I log in, this is what I get. If I go to China, this is what I get. If we work together with Russia and the Russians write on it, I will see it and it will come with me. That's the power of collaboration. Now, I didn't sell yet, so I'm gonna give you I'm going to let the video do it for me. It's just a 2-minute video about if you put all of this information together, how does it look like? Oh, I'm going to have to put my mic. Do you have louder? I'm going to stop it and do it again. But actually, just put it in. And if you want to see more, if you want to learn more,
Just one more information. This is a 65-inch version of an 85. We have a 190-inch system here in Hamburg in our premise. So if you want to see a real impressive big thing, where where you can walk with 3-4 people on a big wall and working together, that's the place where you should look. Thank you. Thank you.